Ask yourself this simple question. Every event that befalls on you, it's absolutely the best event that could happen. Would you want this to be true? That's the question that the author of the book, Zen and the Art of Happiness, Chris Prentiss, he asks us. In the first chapter itself, he asks us this really simple but profound question. Just think about it, that everything that is happening to you, or has happened, or is going to happen, it's of greatest benefit to you, and it's going to bring you really good fortune. And even if along the way something bad, something hurtful occurs, it's only going to be even more beneficial, more blessed in the long run. Imagine if that were the case. How would you react to that? What will your reaction be? And that's really the fundamental idea behind this book, Zen and the Art of Happiness. And one might argue that it's just a hypothetical thing. Anything that happens to us might not be the best thing. We are just being delusional by asking such questions. But that's really the point here. That will you give yourself a chance to think along these lines? Will you give it a chance to be true at least? And if you are willing to give a chance, then I think you should continue reading the book. Or in this case, continue listening to this podcast if you are open to that kind of inquiry. Now, before we explore this question further, let's come back to Zen. What is Zen? In the previous episode, we discussed some fundamental ideas of Zenism, Taoism. But in case you haven't listened to the podcast or not got any clarity, let me break it down for you once again and explain it in the simple terms. Zen, as some of you might know, comes from the Sanskrit word dhyana, which became Chan in Chinese and eventually Zen in Japanese. Zen essentially, it's a journey of exploration and a way of living. And in itself, it doesn't belong to a particular religion, particular culture, or tradition. It is just about experiencing life in the here and now. And it's a kind of a non-dualistic idea where all the dualistic distinctions between subject and the object, they disappear. Zen, it's about enabling yourself to wake up and becoming aware of the reality of the universe. What you do in this case, through concentration, through meditation, you just look at the true nature of things. Don't put your biased ideas into the nature of the universe. Just observe it, let it be, and you just trust the universe. You trust its nature and you follow it. That's essentially what this is about. And the idea that has been taken further in this particular book, where we are told that happiness is our natural state, especially when we are aligned with the universe. We don't have to do anything, we just have to stop fighting the universe, stop fighting the way it functions. Just go with the flow, understand the flow, and go with it. Now, let's come back to the original question and how to deal with that, how to shape our own destinies. First of all, the author tells us that each one of us has a personal philosophy. Most of us don't really define it. We don't even know a lot of times what is our personal philosophy. But we act according to it, most cases unconsciously. So we have a certain kind of philosophy, and based on that, we have our worldview, and according to that, our actions follow. So, for example, uh, if somebody asks you about your philosophy or life in general, you might say life is great, good things are happening to me, I'm a lucky person, and I believe this world is a beautiful and wonderful place. Or you might say the opposite, that I am unlucky, bad things happen to me, the world is not a really nice place, people here are mean, and I'm not really happy. Now, that's really the point here. The point is, it's all in the mind, it's all the perspective that matters. It's not really the events, the way they are taking place, but how we are interpreting those events that defines our state of happiness. This reminds me of an ancient Chinese story which has been narrated multiple times, most famously by Ellen Watts. So this it goes something like this: that once upon a time there was a Chinese farmer, and what happens is his horse runs away. So all his neighbors come to him and they're feeling sorry for him. They say, "We are really sorry to hear about your horse that he has run away. This is really unfortunate." And the farmer says, "Maybe." The next day, the horse comes back, and along with it, it brings back 7 wild horses. And then in the evening, all the neighbors come again and say, "Wow, this is so lucky. What a great turn of events. You now have 8 horses. You are so, so lucky." And the farmer again says, "Maybe." The next day, the farmer's son, he tries to ride one of the horses, and while he's trying to ride the horse gets agitated and he throws the boy and breaks his leg. The neighbors come once again. They say, "Oh God, this is so bad. This is really unfortunate." The farmer once again says, "Maybe." And the next days, different kinds of officers from the government, from the regime, they come and they are trying to hire people into the army because the war has started, and they're looking for young boys and men to get into the army. And because the farmer's son, he was injured, his leg was broken, he didn't have to go there. Once again, the neighbors come and say, "Wow, that's so lucky. Otherwise, he had to go to the war, might not have survived it, so you are lucky." The son says, the farmer says, "Maybe." So that's really the point here in this story, that whatever happens at some point in our life, especially the moment it happens, we think that it's a good or a bad thing based on our interpretation of the event, not necessarily uh, how the event has taken place, nothing about the event, but just our interpretation. Another example that the author gives in this book, he says, suppose in your neighborhood, a rich man starts building a giant house, and the construction work is going on. There's a lot of noise, a lot of dust around, and you're really agitated, really annoyed. Then, few days later, it turns out, you find out that The rich man has decided that he's going to gift that house to you. Suddenly, the same construction work, it appears so wonderful to you. You're looking forward to it. You are excited. So, just the same thing, same event, how the perspective shifts our state of mind, our emotions, the way we are looking at it positively or negatively. So, it really, really matters. But the important question is, how can we bring about this shift? Because it's not as easy as just logically telling your brain to start thinking this way, start thinking positively about everything. It doesn't work like that. But the author suggests in this case, it says that because of our conditioning, because how our experiences have taken place, they have shaped us to think in a particular way or believe a particular thing. We'll have to create a new experience. So once we have new experience, and we have this experience based on acting as though what happens to us is the best possible thing that can happen to us, based on those results, we'll slowly shift our perspective. We'll have to take that leap of faith. Because once again, logically, it might not make all the sense to you, but you still have to try it out. Just try for a few days. Just assume that whatever is happening, anything that happens to you throughout the day, whatever results come, good things, bad things, you do not do well in the exam, you do not do well at work, just believe that whatever this is happening, it's happening for the best. Then see how that small shift in your approach brings new results. Once you get new results, see your happiness levels. See how they shift. Do you feel happier than before or not? This is for you to try out. And it can be illustrated with the help of an example. So suppose you want to open a coffee shop, and your budget is, say, $100,000. And assuming that you have that amount of money in the bank, what will you do in that case? You'll go out looking for sites, you'll start interviewing people for different positions, you'll get prices on equipment, you'll look at future, you'll talk to suppliers, arrange your schedule, and do all kind of those necessary things to get the business started. Now imagine another scenario. You do not have the money in the bank. Now, if you act on that fact alone, you'll do nothing. You'll keep waiting for the money to come. And you won't go anywhere. But instead, suppose you started acting as though you had the money in the bank, even though in reality you didn't. But you start doing all the things that you would do if you had money. You start the project, and guess what? You create the conditions for the money to come. Maybe one of the people you interview wants to become a partner. Maybe one of the suppliers wants to put up the money. Maybe the landlord of the building you find likes you or your ideas and wants to participate. Maybe somebody else's relative, somebody else's friend is looking for an investment. But the moment you start doing it, you will get somewhere. And how do you start doing it? By making that shift in your mind, going with the positive attitude. So that's how we can create new results. That's how we can create new experiences, by assuming that whatever is happening, whatever is there with you, it's for the best. It's not, there's no issue there. Even the limitations, that's fine. They have their positive side. Just look at it. So to repeat those things once again, two things you'll have to remember. Just make a mental note, or you can write it down on a piece of paper and put it somewhere in front, that everything that happens to me is the best possible thing that can happen to me. Just make a note of it. Repeat this to yourself every day. And the second thing, you have to act as though whatever is causing the difficulty is for your ultimate benefit. It's going to bring the best results. Even the challenges, they are going to help you in one way or the other. The idea here is to trust the universe. The universe doesn't make mistakes. It goes on, it's doing, it has its own ways of doing. We don't have to fight it. We have to just align ourselves with it. And when we don't do that, when we don't make the best use of whatever we have, we struggle, we suffer, we go through bad experiences. It happens all the time. The example that I gave, those kind of things happen around us every day. So that's about how we are thinking and how our actions are aligning and producing certain kind of results which are favorable to us. But of course, we understand that the external rewards, they are not, in fact, they cannot be the primary source of our happiness. The happiness has to be from within. So, how do we work on that? First of all, we must understand that the more we engage in any type of emotion or behavior, the greater our desire for it will become. So, most of the time, we are slaves of our habits in terms of emotions also. Once we have got addicted to emotional suffering, we'll find a lot of suffering along the way. That's the trouble with the feelings of depression. That's the trouble with addictions of various kinds. We keep going back to them. In fact, we become addicted to a lot of negative emotions. We become addicted to anger because it has this kind of psychological and physiological effect upon us. It is a kind of a stimulant, and we actually become dependent on the emotion of anger for the stimulation it gives us. And that's why we find ourselves fighting with our partners, our friends, our co-workers. It just happens somehow. We get annoyed and we get into this spree of those similar patterns and we can't move out of them. So that's where we need to take a step back and identify that the more we focus on a particular kind of emotion, the more it'll come back to us. And that's where the earlier affirmations that we talked about, and whatever is happening for the best, is going to help you. Because the more positive outlook you carry towards various events, whatever is happening, whatever bad things are happening in your life, just have that faith. Once you have that, the start has to be not based on logic, but on faith. You understanding, you believing that it's happening for the best. It's happening for a good cause. It's going to make it your life better eventually. Once you take that take that leap of faith, then you're automatically going to attract happiness. It'll just happen. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. That you just have to keep this in mind and keep doing what you're supposed to do in the best possible way. And see for yourself, see the results. How does that make you feel? Just try it for a day or two. Just try this and keep reminding yourself of this message, that whatever is happening for the best. And I hope you'll hugely benefit from this. So that's pretty much about the core message of the book, but I will continue exploring the second half of this book, where we'll explore more of Zen ideas and how they can make us happier, how they can benefit us. So I'll take your leave with that, and I'll catch you the next time with the other ideas of Zen philosophy. Thank you very much for listening. I'll catch you the next time.